Hey garden people! In today's video, I'm going to take you through the garden to show you things I did this year that just make sense, and on the flip side, show you things that we could improve upon for next year. Ready? What made sense number one is using clear gift bags around my strawberries. In the spring, a lot of our strawberries were eaten by rats, squirrels, and bugs. But once we started using these clear gift bags around each strawberry, we've had plentiful strawberry harvests, even into the fall. They're still pumping out. Number two is leaving some plants in the garden as trap crops. I have this borage here that's clearly shriveling and setting seed, but I leave it in the garden to attract the birds away from my sunflowers. They will go here first for an easy seed before going to the sunflowers. I was actually really surprised that this worked. Number three is planting flowers to attract pollinators. I love having flowers in my garden, and clearly the pollinators love it too. Every extra nook and cranny I could put a flower in, I did. And I'm so glad I did, because I have had the most butterflies and bees in my garden than I've ever had. It's a way to bring in the pollinators and keep them here to pollinate all my other crops. It's a win-win. Number four is planting out the same crop in different spots. I love experimenting in the garden, and this year I planted the same tomato varieties in 3 different locations. These garden beds all have different microclimates, soil nutrients, and daylight hours. This was a way for me to see which location is the best spot for tomatoes, so in the future I can focus on planting them in their ideal location. Plus, I got a lot more tomatoes. Number 5 is investing in deer caging infrastructure. I didn't do this right away, and I had a lot of crops eaten by hungry neighborhood deer. But once we built this deer cage, our plants have been so happy, bursting at the seams because they're not being eaten. It was definitely an upfront investment of time and money, but this thing will last years in the garden, and I will always have a big space to plant where critters won't get in. Starting off with number 1 is planting anything in my front yard without the proper deer protection, because deer like to eat a lot of things. This year I bought tulip bulbs and ranunculus corms, thinking they would look great in the front yard. Well, the deer thought so too. If anyone has bought bulbs or corms before, you know they are not cheap. Right as they began to bloom, half of my crops were eaten. And that's the moment I decided to get the proper deer protection, so I will not be outsmarted by deer yet again. Number 2 is not setting up sturdy tomato stakes. I went a little tomato seed crazy and planted way too many. But my biggest problem was not setting these up with heavy-duty stakes. I was trying to go the cheap route and bought bamboo poles with twine. This is fine for peas, but for heavy-fruited plants like tomatoes, this is not fine. As you can see, these got way too heavy, way too abundant, and now they're basically on the ground. So, for next year, I plan on spacing these plants out a little bit more and using heavy-duty T-posts to hold these babies up. Number 3 is not succession seeding lettuce each week. For my CSA, I have a lettuce blend for each customer, so that's a lot of lettuce. And I found myself many times realizing I didn't plant enough lettuce, so I would run to the nursery to get the lettuce starts, and it's so silly because lettuce is really easy to grow from seed, and seed packets are half the price of the plant starts. So next year, I plan on seeding lettuce every single week to keep up with my CSA demand and save money. Number 4 is not labeling every single plant. In the springtime, when you have your baby seedling and you plant it out, I don't know what happens, but I always think, I don't need a label. I know what this is. I know what I'm planting here. But then you plant a lot more crops and you come back to that seedling and now it's a melon, a squash, I don't know what it is. So please, label every single plant because you are not going to remember what it is. Don't be me not knowing what the heck I planted. Lastly, number 5 is feeling overwhelmed by problems in the garden. A lot of times I would come out here and just see a lot of issues. Aphids, crop failure, squirrels. It didn't feel fun. It felt a lot like work, and I didn't want to be out here. But one day I just sat and watched. There was a kale plant that was infested with aphids, and I noticed that the birds started going for that plant and ignoring the other ones. So I kept that plant in the garden, and the birds would keep coming back, eating that plant, and my aphid issue was being solved, and my bird issue was being solved. So next year, instead of feeling overwhelmed by problems in the garden, I'm going to pause and see what answers nature has. There's a whole ecosystem out here solving problems by itself. I just need to stop and look. I hope this video helps you figure out what you can do in your garden for a more productive and fruitful year.